Welcome back to part 2 of episode 9 of Unfettered. We have returned to Sanctuary. Triumphant? I think
On
we...
a positive note, none of us have melted yet.
Yeah, I mean, at least not our upper halves.
The
Yeah,
chance that we're all wearing pants is probably 0.
It's pretty low. It's the magic of the internet. So, we see your... What term did we come to for your ships? Was it a fleet? Is fleet acceptable here?
Squadron.
Squadron.
We're a squadron.
Okay, we see your squadron of ships sailing into Sanctuary, and I think we get this like almost like straight out of Pocahontas kind of shot where we see the Leviathan's descent going down the docks and people like stopping and staring and like people running alongside it, and there is some hubbub and some excitement at such a famous ship arriving in Sanctuary once again.
Yeah.
Mm.
The ship is manned by like robots.
Yeah, no, there are like a bunch of robots running this skeleton crew, just barely navigating into port, and then Constance, where are you? Are you like out on the deck being Constance,
Oh, yeah,
or
definitely.
are you okay?
I'm definitely somewhere visible. Anyone who's like, oh my god, is that the... Like, anyone who can see the deck of the ship can see me. I'm either like... I am obviously just there and not working, but in charge.
Yeah. So there's like a whole bunch of hubbub. There are like people, you know, it's like a Disney movie. There are people like leaning out of their windows and waving like, hey. Albert, how do you react to this? Seeing everybody so excited to see Constance and the Leviathan's descent.
Just kind of like a pirates.
Rabble. Okay, yeah. So you pull into port, lay down the gangway, and people like clamor at the foot of the gangway, calling to you various things like, "Where did you find it? Where's Captain Wake?" And when it becomes,
Hey, bitch face, you owe me 50 gold.
yes, and I think after a little while it becomes apparent that Constance is the only one on the ship, and the mood of the crowd turns a little bit, and let's see, how much prep did I do? Was I smart? Did I put things in the journal, or did I not? Characters, people to know. I didn't. Okay, so we see a person that you, Constance, recognize as a messenger of the Council of Pirates, who is standing in front of the crowd, like right at the very foot of the gangway, waiting for you.
Yeah, I was gonna like walk up.
The council requests the presence of the captain of the Leviathan's descent at their next meeting.
When's the next meeting?
You're already late.
Well, let's see how fast I can make up time. And you see me start to like I'm gonna like start to run, and then I just walk.
Yeah, I think the crowd parts, and there you hear murmuring, and no one really can work up the courage to talk to you directly, but you can hear the questions running through the crowd, like what happened to Captain Wake, what happened to the crew, did Constance kill them,
Where's my 50 gold?
Where's my goddamn 50 gold? Shut up, you moron, something else more important is happening right now.
Yeah, I realize that like this is a monumental moment for Sanctuary.
Yeah.
This is like the grandest of grand pirates. Like this is in our world, this is like Long John Silver, Blackbeard style pirate ship coming back into port after 10 years. Like,
Yeah.
this is a legend that everyone knew coming in.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like playing along with the gravity.
Yeah. And so do you just walk the entire way? Like a scumbag?
Until like there's a no. And once there's no
I think the crowd follows you.
At some point I start flying.
Okay, nice. There's like a cart in your way or something?
With I haven't used this yet.
Oh boy. Fiend form. Up to 10 minutes. As a bonus action, you gain a flying speed of 60 feet. Wow, nice. Okay, yeah. So you just fly the rest of the way?
Yeah, so something like... Eventually I'm just like... And so like, she crouches, and then you see electricity spark all over her, and she just jumps.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just a bolt of lightning. Slow-ish. 120 feet per round if I action as well.
Yeah.
And just bolting through the air.
Yeah, so it doesn't take you the full 10 minutes, I think, to get to the Marquise, which, as we've established before, is this enormous, like truly monumental, multi-decked ship brimming with cannons that is moored in the very center of Sanctuary. It was the historical ship of Captain Lecour, who founded Sanctuary, and he's dead now, but his daughter Marie Lecour still serves on the council, and the council is made up of the 5 most powerful, not in that it has to be 5, but currently 5 most powerful pirate captains in Hersagul, effectively. Each commanding a fairly sizable fleet, and so they, take on responsibility as people who are responsible to their crew. By extension, they are responsible to the people that live in Sanctuary, who are often their crew. So they come together to act as a governing body of the city, and also by extension, because no one can really stand up to any one of them, so certainly no one can stand up to all 5 of them, so they by extension rule or set the base rules for piracy in general. Like, these are the rules of engagement, these are the things that are allowed, these are the things that aren't, in order to maintain piracy as a viable profession.
And is for kind of a... Actually, I think this is a role that I'm probably going to have to make, but in the Pirate Council, is there internal conflict? Is it like a Romance of Three Kingdoms, where it's not necessarily that everyone's there because they agree to it, but because if they turn on someone, 3 people could turn on them? There's a whole bunch of little alliances for the benefit, or is it kind of they are generally understanding that they are the backbone of this city?
I don't know how much Constance would know, because Wake purposefully distanced herself from the council. Like, she could have at some points been a member of the council, and she specifically didn't want to be. So between Wake saying stuff that may or may not be true about the council, and just the distance that she put, I'm not sure how reliable Constance's information would be. So go ahead and roll a history check, and that will determine the answer to that question.
Make sure I don't have advantage on. Okay, good.
And then, yeah, Constance really isn't sure. All she ever got from Wake is that they're a bunch of greedy bastards that want to steal from other thieves.
Okay.
Whether or not that's true, who knows?
We'll find out in a minute.
But yeah, so there's a gangway up to the deck of the Marquise that is guarded, but the guards standing there will allow Constance to pass. And you notice that guards from other parts of the city have been pulled in to the marquees to like keep the crowd back a bit, and you can go ahead and go up if you would like to. I suppose Constance, if she's flying, doesn't even have to take the game away.
Yeah, I think Constance is still like actively being electric from being in wind form, and just kind of jumps in to like onto the ship.
Yeah. And when you arrive on the deck, you are greeted by Marie, who here I have some tokens for these various people that I haven't uploaded, so it's going to take me a second, but I'll just drop them onto the map for now. So giant people. Hey, look, a giant person. You are greeted by Marie, who holds sort of the senior position, because her father was the founder.
All right.
Constance, always one to put on a bit of a show. Oui?
Always.
Of course.
And, tilt my hat to her.
The others are waiting. You are late.
Sorry, I had to dock the ship.
She just like waves you off and walks into the ship. And I think we see Constance walk down into the ship, and then we cut over to Albert as like the other ships are tying off at port and offloading cargo.
Yeah. So it's just cut over to me. All right. So I'm gonna disembark the ship. Kind of like gaze around, make sure that the crowd hasn't like followed us over and started harassing my crew.
Yeah, no, they're just completely ignoring you.
Great, I don't have to deal with that shit. He's gonna. He kind of takes a moment to think, and he's like, "We'll need to start assembling crew for the Leviathan's descent. Make sure all of our books are in order. And wait, I think there's something I'm forgetting. What was it? Right, the Travelers. Zaire.
Yes, Captain.
Zaire, we're going to make our way over to the Travelers Guild now. See if they've actually called council, or if we have to.
You want me to come with you to
Yes.
a council?
Yes.
I don't know if that would be appropriate.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard any stories, but I'm someone who doesn't understand what's appropriate, who doesn't have to understand what's appropriate at these meetings.
No, I have noticed that is how you feel about most things. You see, I understand that you are no longer part of the Travelers, but I am, and that is somewhat important to me. But
you could be considered my aide, of course, during the meeting, as an external force.
Well, they look over at Gamzees. Gamzees just shrugs. Do what you do. Your weird fate stuff is not anything I understand. Be safe. Zaire gives her like this, come on, and just turns back.
If you truly don't
it will be as you say, Captain.
That's what I like to hear. So he just
Gamzees just like spits whatever she's drinking. Captain.
Oh man. Shut the fuck up. You see Albert like turn around and give a death stare at Gamzees.
She goes back to drinking. I didn't say anything.
And then keep walking.
Okay, so the two of you head over to the Traveler's Lodge. Yeah. And Sanctuary is like really weirdly quiet as you walk through it. And you can hear faintly off in the distance the sounds of this massive crowd. On the one hand, it's kind of weird because, like, I mean, you've seen those kinds of crowds before.
Yeah.
You know, during the war when people would get to come back, I guess you never got to witness the end of the war. So maybe it's sort of like this is what you always imagined that moment would have been like. You know, coming home from Mara Dune and being greeted by these people who cared about the things that you did. Like that's sort of the reward that everyone is promised going into the Imperial military, and that Albert never got. So what's that like for him?
Like what? It's kind of like victory walk.
Yeah, and like it's happening over there for someone else.
Well, I'd say it's kind of, I don't know, business as usual. Like he has more military achievements than people understand because it's just swept under the rug, you know? Someone takes the credit and he doesn't care for it. So I guess on one end he doesn't really, like, he gives the appearance of not caring, but at the same time it's kind of like the, you know, another time he didn't get the fanfare. Constance walked off on her big shiny ship. All right.
Yeah, and so you're walking through the streets, and you know they're quiet. The stores have closed, and really the only people around that you see are people like huddled in alleyways and doorways, who are sick and shivering. And so you make your way to the Traveler's Lodge, and you know, you walk in and it's business as usual. You know, there are a bunch of travelers, maybe a few less than normal, like fewer of the younger ones. Presumably some of them recognized that something exciting was happened and went to go see what it was. But like all of the veteran travelers are like, something's happening. If it's important, we'll hear about it. Alternately, if it were important, fate would have guided me to it, and I wouldn't be sitting here drinking instead.
You know, put a little bit more effort in.
Well, some people phone it in. But yeah, Toledo's there.
Yeah, I'll step forward to Toledo. Toledo, have you gotten a response back?
Have I gotten a response back? Dear boy, I'm afraid I'm not sure what you mean.
Don't beat around the bush,
Yes,
I'm forgetting. It's Toledo? I always forget what it was you like to go by these days.
Still bad at joking, I see. Yes, I've heard from Arden, I've heard from Duneterra, I've heard from others, but they don't care.
Of course, so...
You burned a lot of bridges.
I burned more than a lot of bridges. I burned every bridge.
You did,
well,
but Arden, Johnston has agreed to arrive. He should be here already, I just haven't seen him. And I believe Sayad from Duneterra.
Well, if I called a meeting, I should at least attend it, even if no one else does.
Very well. If now is the appointed time, he like takes a swig.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll be in the chamber already.
This is the case with travelers.
He leads the way to there's like, you know, maybe leading up to this, an expectation was built for the audience that like there's some council chamber where there are like high chairs and like a spotlight in the center of this dark massive, it's like a back room with a rough or like a smooth worn wooden table and like some benches.
Yeah.
Fancy. You got a table.
Yeah. But the table's there so like people can set their papers on it or something.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a dartboard on one of the walls. And
It wasn't built as an audience chamber, clearly.
Yeah.
Or was it?
So you enter the room, and there is an elf and a human, both presumably men, sitting sort of toward the end of the table, conversing with each other.
Yeah.
And Toledo raises an eyebrow. Banton, I didn't expect to see you. Zayad had something else to deal with. So, here I am.
That's how unfortunate. Well, it's good seeing that you're in good health. With regards to the matter of the reason why I called this council, it's...
Are you at least gonna sit? Or...
Take a seat if you please, Toledo. I prefer to stand.
The... that was Banton, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Banton.
And the other man you recognize as Johnston.
Yeah.
And Toledo sits at the table, sort of over by the other two.
Yeah.
And
so
Zaire looks nervously between you and Banton, who is now making eye contact with them.
Yeah. They're my aid. What can I say?
I can say that they have not gone far since they left my tutelage.
Oh. So that's the relationship you two have. Kind of looking back at Zaire and looking back. Well, I'm sure under my wings, you'll see a great deal of improvement. Anyways, for the matter of the reason why I called this council, it's come to my attention, rather unfortunately, that the Empire has begun research into the ruins.
And this should concern us. Why? Precisely.
Well, of course it should concern us. Do you not recall the reason, the tenets that the Travelers are built on? We are an organization that's free in our practices. We roam the world, we seek out the meaning of fate, but we are here, rather you, are here to guide the people, to guide the flows of fate, to understand the old world and not just weaponize it.
Oh,
Is this not...
Don't get all puffed up, Vessinger. This is Johnston.
Yeah.
We all know all you care about is finding things first, and if the Empire puts their mighty amounts of money behind finding these ruins, they'll find them and you won't.
Well, these days I don't particularly care about the prestige of the Travelers. I don't care about fame. What I care about is these things falling into the wrong hands.
Is that so? So, when you were causing a ruckus in Dunsimic, that was laying low, was it?
Well, I must confess, my partners are not always of the same opinion, but nonetheless, I am leading a revolution as of the present moment.
The three of them look at each other. Zaire gulps.
And naturally there will be blowback from that. But if these things come to light that should have stayed in the dark, if these weapons and tools that we are all very well aware still lurk out there, it could mean catastrophe.
Oh, yes, we are all aware of your ghost stories from your time at the, what was it, Bantam? Temple of Tarhazim, I believe. Yes, Temple of Tarhazim. But you must understand, given your association with Vidratha, that we have some pause.
Well, things of the past have already happened, and I understand that I'm not nearly as welcome as I was, especially with regards to what happened the last time I called the council. But these concerns of mine are real.
And where were those concerns when Vidratha stole from us? The man has a point, Albert. I believe you helped her secure passage on a ship that night?
I was unaware of exactly what happened.
Unaware? Someone such as you, who had such a close relationship with fate, surely something like this could not have gone past your notice.
Apparently, that close relation of fate is just ghost stories to some of us.
Benton rolls his eyes and, takes another drink.
I come out here seeking to, I don't know, with whatever hopes, bring back some kind of glory to this organization, and you come back at me with news from 30 years ago. Things of the past are the things of the past, and I know that the Travelers have suffered much for it, but I must insist, if things remain the way they are, things will not remain the way they are.
Look, Albert, I understand your concern. As someone who has spent so much time here in Sanctuary, I am perhaps a little closer. He nods to Banton and Johnston, and they begrudgingly acknowledge, a little closer to some of the things happening around the diverse locations of Hersagul. However, it's impossible to deny the Travelers have lasted this long, despite the Empire growing exponentially, because we have managed to stay apolitical. We don't get involved.
I don't believe that for 1 second. You say that the Travelers are sustained on their disinvolvement in these issues, but by their very nature, by collecting these things, they don't involve themselves in political matters or in matters of military strength, but in the social and spiritual matters of Hersagul, the Travelers play a crucial role. Balances between forces are completely different because of their existence, and what I'm saying is, with the Empire as it is today, with things the way they are progressing, if the Travelers don't take an extra step to secure these runes, to secure the things that their organization is set out to do, they very well risk the possibility of destruction. Maybe not as an organization, but the land, the people. It's all.
Banton leans forward. Look, Vessinger. The greatest threat to anyone, is the Empire. Now, I'm sure there are those, young and starry-eyed, that would love to join you in your cause, and help you keep these tools of destruction from the Empire. But if we were to take a stand with you, when you die, so would we. So would the Travelers as a way of life. Hersagul's connection to fate would be severed. Is that not important to you? Is your crusade against those who ousted you after you left us that important?
Well, in my eyes it is. See, what you describe is, the words you use are the words of a rational and reserved person, but I believe what you're expressing is hesitation to take a step that needs to be taken. It's true, if we fall and if we fail, the Travelers will no doubt fall with us. But do you truly believe that you will remain untouched? That your organization will remain unaffected by the way things are progressing? You speak as though the Empire has always grown as fast as they have. Mara Dune is under their subjugation, and the wildlands are next.
And I'm sure
There will be no free land in Hersagul for the travelers to roam to. There will be no place that will shelter them. They will be under the Empire. It will all fall under the Empire's own grace and mercy.
Albert, the travelers and the Empire have had a good relationship with each other since they encountered each other 150 years ago. I do not know where this comes from. I mean, we have chapters in Mara Dune where we recruit, those people who show promise.
Do you think they had the choice? In the past, the Empire was just Mulland. They couldn't in an outright manner, directly oppose the Servants of Fate. But as their influence grows, and their war of ennoblement that seems to be so important to them continues, I don't believe that you will remain unaffected. I believe they'll become too large for the beliefs of the people to truly counter. They'll slowly slice away at your power, slice away at your influence, slice away at your very purpose until you're nothing more than a withered husk, and then expose you for what you are. The travelers need to take a stand now. While the world is still in flux, while there is still a chance, they need to stand up and do the things that they have existed for millennia to do. Or centuries.
Mm-hmm. I think Banton and Johnston sort of look at each other kind of dismissively, but you've gained Toledo's attention. He's not, he's not smirking. He's actually like listening to you.
You have always been full of these doomsday stories, though, Vessinger. You can't deny that.
Of course I have. Have you taken a look at what Hersagul is, Benson? Have you looked? We are islands floating above an abyss of destruction. Now, there are theories as to what came before what Hersagul, the lands, the old times, but the fact remains. We are a place built upon a time of destruction. The dragon gods in their isles are capable of tearing these islands apart, should they have wished to. And perhaps even at this point, the Empire has the tools necessary as well. But that's beside the point. In the end, Hersagul has always stood on the knife's edge, and the Empire is an unprecedented threat. The more land and influence they control, the higher the probability that things go poorly, that someone makes a bad call, that something that is unearthed and misused.
Toledo. Sorry, go ahead.
No. It's just.
Toledo leans onto his other elbow, so his back is sort of toward you. I believe what these two gentlemen have been too polite to point out is that should the Empire gain more power, we will be fine. Surely, yes, some will die, but the travelers will continue on. The travelers are not bound by any one people. They are bound by fate. And I think if you look at the people sitting at this table, you will find that fate has brought together people who will, in fact, not be shaken by the Empire's growth, or even, should it happen, eventual dominance.
I think in your own way, you may be right, Toledo. The fact that anyone is here at all is perhaps a miracle of fate. I cannot help but insist that this matter is more than just the passing of the ages, the rise and fall of kingdoms, but more pressing. I didn't want to I didn't want to have to do this, but it recently came into my notice, and I'm going to go ahead and expend a resource right now.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and expend a high class resource, and this is going to be kind of what I'm going to say is going to be crazy. If you wish to perhaps take a rein slightly out of my hand, feel free to do so.
Sure, set it up.
So he kind of like pulls this document. This like he had handed some like a small like bag to Zaire at some point, and he just kind of like reaches into the bag and pulls out a set of documents, if anything, to just provide Zaire a reason for being there.
Zaire, I think, like, at this point is like shaking with anger.
Yeah. Like pull the documents out and like throw like basically like lay them out on the table, flip them open, and you just see these like diagrams of several like temples and these like intense like kind of like a intense, I don't know how to describe it, just like this huge stack of research on several temples that like the Empire has found and then systematically studied, and you see like maps and compasses and like just kind of like this large reaching kind of operation.
I think to sort of like to yes and this.
Yeah.
I think maybe Albert's gambit is that he had these drafted up and created, but this isn't what he spent the high class contact on. What you have is you have evidence, like a money trail, basically, tying Banton and Johnston to the Empire.
Oh.
Because they're both Imperial by birth.
Yeah.
And so, like, maybe, like, the resistance that you're feeling from the two of them is that, you know, they're from the Empire. If the Empire takes over, so what? They'll still be there.
Oh, I see what you're saying. They're viewing themselves more as, like, individuals. Okay.
But sure, people are dying in Mara Dune right now, but, like, you know, the Genasi and the elementals that really matter and that are really like stand-up people, those will come to the Travelers and they'll be fine.
Okay. So it's a representation of a money trail more than a like. So I guess. But
you're throwing this down as like as a bit of like bait to get them to maybe come forward and say something more. Because you're like, here, I have evidence of this thing. I have evidence of Imperial information that you don't have.
Oh.
Right? Like theoretically, Banton and Johnston should know if the Empire has intel on these kinds of things.
Okay.
So this is you drawing them into your trap.
This is really complicated, but all right.
Let me see those.
Yeah, just kind of like slides them across the table. Yeah.
I think Toledo looks over at them, and actually, I'm gonna roll a check for him. I'm gonna see if he gets caught up in this.
If he believes that the documents are real, should I roll a deception?
No, I think 17 is good enough for him to like catch on to what's happening, maybe. Because he's a tricksy individual. And so like he leans over and he's looking at them, and then you see him side eye you and raise an eyebrow, but it's not the like I'm on to you eyebrow. It's the what are you doing?
Yeah. Right? I think even in the documents there's mentions of like contacts in the Travelers, but like not specifically named.
Yeah, I think you've got like some code names of maybe people that you used to know that aren't in the Travelers anymore. That are like that key off Toledo that something else is going on, but they're all like very stand-up people. They're all like, this was a person who was very important at one time. And Banton and Johnston are really caught up in this.
So at this point, Albert kind of like leans more on the chair and the table. So, Banton, I forgot the names already. Wow.
Banton is the elf,
Yeah.
who is from Doonterra, and Johnston is the human from Arden.
Banton, Johnston. What do you have to make of this?
Well, it's certainly very, very interesting.
It
I
defies my expectations.
Yes, I too was unwilling to accept it at first, but the Empire has already begun to sink their fingers into the travelers. How else would they find these things? These ruins. These ruins that can only be found through fate.
Well, perhaps they got lucky.
And I think maybe at this point, Zaire like steps forward and like they can no longer stand silent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fate, luck, these are the same. They are not different. You, fat man from Mulland. You, elf, also from Mulland. You have forgotten what the travelers are. Where they come from. They are not from your empire. They are from my home. They are a people and an order that came from a place of mystery and secrets and knowledge. And you walk into here with your money and your connections, and you say, oh, the travelers will be fine. But no, the travelers are already changing, already different.
This kind of moment, like I should let them talk.
And then like I think their hair is like their genasi's coming out, so like their hair is like rising up. There's a small breeze in the room, and like the papers shuffle around, and then they realize what they've just done, and they calm down for a moment.
Yeah, Albert kind of like hides a smile, but like very very serious, like.
Can you go ahead and roll a persuasion check with advantage?
All right. Damn. No inspiration. I can't use inspiration on this.
There's no double advantage. It's an optional rule some people use, but a 16 is pretty good. I would say 16 is good.
Well, gentlemen, I must say, despite my heritage,
this is Toledo now.
that
Yeah.
young Zaire has a point. And it's curious, now that I think about it, Banton, what was it you said Sayad was doing, rather than being here?
Banton like blinks.
I'm not sure what you're implying, Toledo. Oh, what I'm implying is that you and your friend here, Johnston, have some rather deep pockets that don't belong to you. By which I mean, I believe you're working with the Empire directly. Now listen here, Toledo. That is an accusation, yes, and quite a big one. But you will recall that you are in my city. Now, I've had some suspicions, and I would love to congratulate the wonderful work of our good friend, Captain Vessinger. Your spies that you sent out were quite easy to trail, but don't worry, I picked up the right information.
Very clever.
Now, if you are to return to your respective lodges, I think you will find that Sayad and Zahai, he turns to Benton, will be very interested to hear what I've had to say to them while you've been gone. And you, Johnston, I believe Alexandria will have some words for you upon your return as well. In the meantime, Vessinger,
Toledo.
you have had a checkered past
To
with
say that is an
regards
under-exaggeration.
to our organization. We cannot forgive you for what happened with Vidratha.
But as I am the only high-ranking member of the Travelers currently present, speaking for the organization and the Order, you will have our aid.
Little did I expect I would hear those words coming from your mouth, Toledo, but...
This is an outrage. I will not stand for this.
No, you're sitting. Albert, if we could leave these two dithering idiots and actually discuss what it is you'd like from the organization.
That would be greatly appreciated. I'm sure they'll have kind of glancing over a lot to talk about on their own.
And Toledo will stand up and walk over to you. I trust you gentlemen can find your way out. And then we'll I think we cut to Constance, as she steps down into the massive hold of the Marquise. So the ship has not flown in quite some time, and by extension, it hasn't done any pirating in a generation. So the hold was clear to make space for effectively a council chamber, and I think here we get that thing that we were expecting from the Travelers. There's this high counter with all these chairs, and a light shining down from do you know what deck lights are? They're a prism that would be set into decks of ships so that light could filter down from above decks to below decks. So there's this sort of watery ripply light in a circle in the center of the room, and then some candles individually for each of the council members to check their notes and whatnot. And Marie will leave you in the center of the room and go up to her chair. And we see the remainder of the council, who are Corbin Merrick. This is going to take a moment for me to drop all these into the tabletop, and they're going to be huge for a second. Marshall Price. Any day now. There we go. PV Card, and the last will be Sarah Jubilee. And they're arrayed in this arc around the chamber. And I think Corbin, Captain Merrick, speaks up first.
Captain Constance Stormheart, you stand before the Council of Pirates, accused of engaging in piracy south of the city of Sanctuary, as is expressly forbidden in the Charter. How do you respond to this charge?
I kind of sit there for a second. That's an accusation.
We'll get you some names next to the faces in a second so you can keep track of them.
It is. And do you have anything to say for yourself? Any defense?
I mean, I'll have to have done a lot of things. I have to recall what I've done south of Sanctuary.
I believe specifically there was a small yacht stolen off the coast of Mulland.
Right. Oh, those were dire circumstances.
Oh, were they now?
Oh, yeah, I had just broken out of Suttergall.
The other council members look at each other.
And you believe...
Merrick, this is Marshall speaking up. You don't have to crucify the woman right away. You believe this justifies your infraction of the Pirates Code?
Yes, I think that there's a much bigger picture going on, and trying to appease Moland is not going to be very easy.
And so your strategy was to what? Piss them off more? This is Marie.
My strategy is to, well, long term, there's more, but right now, put distance between me and them, and then take them down.
The the other council members look at each other again, and PV Card speaks up. He clears his throat. You intend to attack the Empire directly?
Well, yes. Have you never heard me talk? Pretty sure I'm very clear what I plan to do to Molokai. Anyone in port could tell you. Involves his mind and getting stabbed in it.
Sweetie, this is Sarah Jubilee now. We understand that you have a complicated history with Grand Admiral Kent, but as yet we did not understand how this extended to the Empire in general. And also, you did break the accord. And now you came back with Captain Wake's ship and no Captain Wake? You'll have to excuse us for feeling like maybe something else is going on. You've never really been the most predictable or, interested in rules.
We're pirates.
Right, and even thieves have a code.
And if you break the code, there are consequences.
I think the other council members look at Corbin like, slow your roll, dude.
Well, breaking the cords is a very...
At the very least, we should take your ships from you.
Oh, would you like the Leviathan's Descent? It just spent only a small amount of time in the Arcane.
Your stories, Constance, are much taller than you are.
That's right.
I'm sure. Deal with it.
Yeah. You might call my stories tall, but I was the Empire. I was before the Eternal Storm. I was the butcher of Toonterra. And if you think that once they're done with the elves, they're not coming to Sanctuary, you're all fucked. All of you. Don't care how big your fleets are. Right now, Sanctuary is just stalling. I plan on doing something.
Look, are we actually going to listen to someone who literally just said to us that she was the Empire? Is this seriously happening right now?
Yes, but Merrick, I believe it is.
Merrick, did you ever go to Doonterra?
Been in the area?
Oh, but were you there during the war? Did you see what happened?
I was perhaps a bit busy, like many
Oh,
of the others
well.
in this chamber.
Would you like me to fill you in? Well,
Not especially.
words.
I have a feeling you're going to anyway.
Oh, more than you would want to. Words don't quite cover it. Oh. And so I think what everyone sees, including the audience, is back in the deserts of Mara Dune and just a hallway just covered in the corpses and blood of children, women, old people, just piles of corpses all around the streets.
Yeah, I think we see something that we haven't seen before in A Memory of Constance's. We see her and Molokai standing side by side in their imperial armor. How much do you just send them the one flash?
I think they get that and then it flashes to like a wyvern like flying over and landing like crushing and bones crunching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it rears we get like a little bit of a Game of Thrones thing where it like moves its long neck around and roars.
And I think that the memory ends with Constance turning to Molokai going, I really hope this is the last time.
Yeah, and I think the memory fades from the chamber, but we as an audience can faintly hear it like closes out on like his hand going to her shoulder, and we faintly hear him in like this echoey voice say, all things must end. And I think actually we're at an hour. I think we should take our second break here, and we'll get to hear Constance try and convince the Council of Pirates not to arrest her. So
they could.
So yeah, we'll be back in just a couple minutes. See you there.